Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we are going to do one of the more watched videos on this channel. It is the best teams video, and this week we are going to do game week 28 to game week 33. So I did this edition because I know a lot of you guys will be wildcarding in game week 28. So I think this will be quite useful for you guys, and also for those of you who are not wildcarding, you probably would want to bring players from these teams in as well. So probably this video could help most of you guys. So if you do like this one, help me out and give it a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and let's get on with the video. So as you guys can see, these are the 5 teams that I think have the best fixtures and also probably would score the most points in the coming game weeks. So Chelsea, Arsenal, Wolves, Southampton, and Leeds. So I'll just quickly explain how to read this table. So the black fixtures are the fixtures that probably would turn out to be blanks, and that's because in game week 30, due to the FA Cup, most teams would blank. Of course, Arsenal, Wolves, and Leeds don't blank in game week 30. We already know that. But Chelsea would probably blank, so their fixture with Norwich would probably not happen. And also the same for Southampton, where their fixture with Burnley would probably not happen as well. So as for Chelsea, the only thing that is not confirmed at this point in time is that white fixture in game week 28, where people are saying that Norwich could be moved to game week 28 together with the Burnley fixture. So Chelsea could have a double game week 28 if the blank in game week 30 does happen and they don't play Norwich. So we would only know this later on. So for now, this is the most updated schedule that we have, and as you guys can see, all these teams have really good runs. So Chelsea has the best run, as you guys can see, all pretty much green fixtures. You probably want to double or even triple up on them. But I will get into doubling and tripling up on players later on, because it does affect how many players we will have in game week 30. So if you are actually intending to free hit in game week 30, then you probably won't have too many restrictions. But if you are intending to save the free hit and not use it in game week 30, then you probably would have to have more Arsenal, Wolves, and Leeds players. So moving on to the next team, Arsenal also have a really good fixture run. As you guys can see, they have a double. May not be the best double, but it is still a double, and all the other fixtures are all pretty easy for them as well. And then when you look at Wolves, really great fixtures there as well, except for the Man City one in game week 33. So probably you want to double or even triple up on their team. Maybe a double defense and a Jimenez. That's what a lot of people are doing, so that's a good consideration as well. And then when we look at Southampton, also really good fixtures. Barring the blank, they do have a double game week in game week 28, which is a really good one, Aston Villa and Newcastle. And then they play Watford the next week. They possibly blank in game week 30, and then they play Leeds. So I would say that their game week 32 and 33 fixtures may not be the best, but still this run from game week 28 up till game week 31 is really good, and they are playing Chelsea and Arsenal at home. So Southampton has been a team that we know can perform quite well at home as well. So one of the better teams to look out for during this fixture run. And then lastly, we have Leeds, who have a really good fixture run also, as you can see. But something to take note is that they are leaking in a lot of goals, as we all know. So probably we will only want to go for attackers like Rafinha from Leeds. But yeah, I will go into the players that we should look out for when it comes to these teams later on in this video. But for now, overall, as you guys can see, these are the 5 teams that I think we should be targeting if we are making transfers or even wildcarding in game week 28. So now let's move on to the first team and see what are some of the players that we should look out for. Alright guys, so the first team that we're going to talk about is Chelsea, and these are the 4 players that I probably would target if I was bringing in a Chelsea player. But for me, the first player to bring in will probably have to be a defender, and that's because if you look at their minutes per expected goals conceded, that is 100.2 minutes, which is really good, because as we know, 90 minutes in a game, so they are actually predicted to not concede a goal in 90 minutes. And what that means essentially is that their defense is really good. We already know this, and we have been waiting for Reece James to come back so that we can buy Reece James and get him into our team. But the problem is he is still not fit at this point in time, as of recording as well. So for now, probably we would have to target Rudiger instead. He's the next most nailed defender, and also he has good attacking threat as well. So I would say that Alonso is probably more of a risky pick at this point in time, because it seems like Malang Sarr has come in a few times for him. Callum Hudson-Odoi has also come in a few times for him as well. So I would say Rudiger first until James is fit. Then we can maybe take Rudiger out for James. So in terms of attackers, I would say that Lukaku probably would be too much value and too expensive for us. So I would go for Havertz instead, because it does seem like Havertz is currently ahead of him, slightly ahead of him. He did play in the Champions League ahead of Lukaku, so it kind of says a lot as well when Havertz is starting ahead of Lukaku in the Champions League game. So the next attacker that probably I would go for is Mason Mount. So he is at 7.5 mil, 11.8% owned. So probably we all know that Mount is on attacking set pieces. He's on he plays really further up front. He gets a lot of shots and assists out as well. So he probably is a very good cheaper Chelsea attacking asset to have. But I would say that still I would go for a Chelsea defender first, and then once I have that Chelsea defender, I can explore maybe going into Chelsea's attack. So Havertz and Mount for me would be the Chelsea attackers to go for. So next up we have Arsenal, and I feel like if you're wildcarding in Game Week 28, Arsenal is a team that you definitely have to triple up on, and that's because they have really good attacking threat, and also their defense is pretty solid as well. So if I were going for Arsenal players, I would target mainly these 4 players. So defense wise, I would go for Ramsdale as my keeper if I wanted a Arsenal keeper. I mean, of course. And then I would go for Tierney if I wanted an Arsenal defender, and that's because he presents good attacking potential as well. And then up front, I would go for Saka because he's probably the best Arsenal attacker at this point in time. Maybe you can consider Lacazette as well, but for the value that Saka presents at 6.5, I think is really good. And then another player to consider who is really good value as well is Martinelli at 5.3 mil. But we do not know because he recently got sent off against Brentford, and since then he's come into the team because Smith Rowe is out with a flu. But the what we are unsure of is when Smith Rowe is back, when they have all the attackers back. So Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Saka, who and Martinelli of course. Then who would make that 3 midfield just behind Lacazette? So that is something we have to consider as well, where he may not be a nailed starter. And also Nicolas Pepe is picking up. He may or may not get more minutes, so Martinelli's minutes may start to get managed as well. So that is something to consider when it comes to Martinelli. But on the whole, I would say Ramsdale, Tierney and Saka, really good. And if I didn't go for Ramsdale, maybe I can do a Tierney, Saka and Lacazette. But those are just things to consider. And definitely we would want them for the double in Game Week 29 where they play Leicester and Liverpool as well. So really, Arsenal, I feel, is a team we have to either double or triple up on. And if we're not wildcarding, then maybe we can just start to scale our team towards bringing in more Arsenal players, using our free transfers, or maybe even taking hits as well. So next up, talking about Wolves, once again, another team that I think we need to triple up on if we are wildcarding and intend to not use the free hit in Game Week 30. And that's because they have a guaranteed fixture, which is against Leeds in Game Week 30, which is really good. So right off the bat, when we think of Wolves players, Wolves attackers, we definitely think of Jimenez. And Hwang has recently come up as someone who may start to pick up in form. He scored a goal against Arsenal. That may boost his confidence, and maybe his performance can start to improve. And he's only 5.4 mil, so 2.7% owned as well. That can present a differential for us if he does start to perform. And the fixtures are there for him to perform. So really, I think Hwang may be a good differential. Jimenez, needless to say, he is the Wolves frontman. I actually have him in my team as well. So I do feel like Jimenez is a really important player to have as well. And then in defense, I will go for Ait Nuri and Jose Sarr. Jose Sarr is a keeper, so I won't speak too much about him. You can either choose to go for Jose Sarr or Ramsdale, like I said earlier. But I think if I were to choose between the two, I would lean slightly to Jose Sarr. And talking about Ait Nuri, I think at 4.4 mil, together with the wing-back role that he's playing and his attacking threat, I think is really good. I was watching the Arsenal game, and I think Ait Nuri could have gotten an assist couple of times. So really, and sometimes he takes the odd set pieces here and there as well. So really, 8 Nuri I think is a really good option at 4.4 mil, 1.9% owned as well. So another differential there. But something to consider is he has been rotated every now and then by Bruno Lager. So we do have to consider that there is a risk when associated with 8 Nuri as compared to maybe Cody or Max Kilman. So something to consider there as well. But as we can see, if we look at the expected goals conceded for Wolves, also pretty good at 72 minutes per expected goal. So really, really good defense. And I would say that most of us would be doing a double Wolves defense and a Jimenez. But if we want to maybe have Huang in our team, maybe we can actually do a double Wolves defense and then a Huang up front if we don't want to go for Jimenez. But I would say for my own team, if I was building a wildcard, which I've put a video out, I'm going to go for Jimenez and then a double Wolves defense in Ed Nuri and Jose Sa. So next up we have Southampton, and once we think of Southampton attackers, definitely we think of a few players, and Broja, Adams and Ward-Prowse come to mind. So Ward-Prowse, we know he's on set pieces, he's been getting more goals recently as well, so he could really present as a differential. Quite a number of drafts for game week 27 free hits that I've seen have Ward-Prowse, so people are rating him, and he can be a good differential to have in our team to take into this good run of fixtures that Southampton have. So pretty decent at 6.5 million as well. And then if we look at the other attacking options, Broja is really one of the best budget options I feel out there in the game right now. 5.5 mil. Not surprised to see that he is pretty higher owned than the other attackers. So he's at 13.0% owned. So definitely people do know that he is one of the better attackers to have from Southampton. I also probably would have him in my team soon. I'm looking to bring him in. And then Che Adams is slightly more expensive, and that probably explains why he's a little lesser owned. But I think in general, I would go for Broja instead of Adams. I can go for Ward-Prowse if I do have extra funds in the midfield. And then talking a little bit about the defense, I would go for Livramento because he's the cheapest out of everyone else, out of Perot, out of Kyle Walker-Peters, and even Bednarek. So in my free hit in Game Week 27, I actually went for Bednarek because we did not know whether Livramento would be starting or not. But it does seem once again that it is his spot to lose again. So whether or not the other spot is taken up by Perot or Kyle Walker-Peters, it really doesn't matter for us because I think we are looking at Livramento, 4.3 million, really cheap option, and we know that he can get assists, and he did score a header as well from a corner this season, so really happy days there. I did have him in that game week, so I do feel like he presents not only clean sheet opportunities but also attacking threat, so good option at Livramento as well. So lastly we have Leeds, and as you guys can see, the 4 players that I've put up, none of them are defenders, because if you look at the minutes per expected goals conceded, Leeds is at 50.9, which means that they are expected to concede almost 2 goals every game. And needless to say, the stats don't lie as well, because when we look at them play, they have been so poor at the back, conceding so many shots, so many goals. So really, I don't think that we should be targeting any defenders from Leeds if we want to target this good fixture run that they have. But I do feel like in terms of attackers, they do have quite a few options. So Rafinha, of course, is the most obvious option, and probably the most highly owned as well at 14.6 mil. And at 6.5 price point, he is pretty worth the price tag that he has in terms of the returns that he's been getting this season as well. And then another option that I think has been slightly overlooked is Dan James. So at just 6 mil, he is playing a false 9 position because Bamford isn't back, and he doesn't look like he will be back anytime soon. So Dan James is actually playing a false 9 position, and he is registered as a midfielder in the game. So really, that is kind of like a Phil Foden playing in a false 9 position. Of course, Leeds' attack isn't as good as Man City's attack, but we know that when a midfielder plays in a false 9 position, definitely the chances for goals are higher there. So I think James could present as a good differential. He's only 0.9% owned in the game, so really decent option there. And then if we look at the other options that we have, Harrison and Gelhardt. So Harrison, he did score a hat-trick in the season in one of the previous game weeks, but I think it is a bit risky if we go for Harrison at 5.5 mil, because we could just go to downgrade to about 4.8 for other options like Jacob Ramsey, etc. But if we do want to spend that extra 5.5 mil, then on Harrison, then it probably would be a little bit of a gamble. But I think Harrison is another attacker that we can consider. He probably won't be as attractive as the other two like Rafinha and James, but another decent attacking option to consider. And also in Gelhardt, 4.6 mil attacker, 2.4% own. I think Gelhardt is one more of an enabler in the team as well, if we just want that forward spot to be an enabler spot. But I feel like moving forward, if you're wildcarding in Game Week 28, I probably wouldn't have that forward spot be an enabler, because I probably would load up on attackers such as Lacazette, Jimenez, and Broya. So I would say that the forward spot wouldn't be open for an enabler, but if we are in need of an enabler, Gelhardt can be one of those players as well. So there we have it, guys. Once again, these are the best teams to target for Game Week 28 to Game Week 33. I hope that this video presented some players that you guys can look at to bring in, or even if you are wildcarding, you can choose to triple or double or triple up on these players. So hopefully this video was useful for you guys. I will be posting this graphic on the community page so you guys can refer to it if you are planning your transfers or setting a wildcard team. So once again, thank you guys for watching. If you are new around here, please help me out and subscribe to the channel. We are going to reach 500 subscribers really soon, so if we can get there, that would be amazing. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye bye.